Hey, is it really worth it? Freedom? What's the price that people pay for it? Oh, that is a tough subject because a lot of people think that, oh, I left Jehovah's Witnesses and now I'm free. I'm free, but I'm miserable. I'm free, but I'm alone. I'm free, but I'm lonely. I'm free, but I'm depressed. I'm free, but I don't have any purpose in life. I'm free, but I don't know what to do with my life. I'm free, but what am I supposed to replace all my life with now? That is a subject we're going to discuss today. Stay with me. All right. Freedom. Well, I wrote a book called Fear to Freedom. Why? Because I think the true happiness and and a really a life worth living only starts when we conquer fear. I think the most amazing things happen after we conquer the fear. And when we look at the fear straight in the eyes and we're like, okay, I'm doing this. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't care what anybody else says about me. This is what I want to do. And this is why I'm doing this. And I'm going to go for it. And when you overcome the fear of what these people will think about me and who I'm going to lose and what consequences or what price I got to pay, and all those things are behind you, I think that's the core when we feel like, wow, that's the life I want to live. But it is really challenging for Jehovah's Witnesses because, especially those who were raised in it, it's kind of like you grew in this environment where they told you you're free of celebrating holidays, you're free of the pagan origins and different things that the world is doing, you're free of violence that is happening between nations. Like we Jehovah's Witnesses, we're not violent people, we don't go to war. You're free from deception from Satan because we know the truth, and people actually felt free. Well, let's talk about freedom for a second. Do people really want freedom? What do you think? Actually, put in the comments. Do you think people really want to be free? How high is freedom on people's values? Do you think it's one of the top values for people? Do you think people are willing to give up their freedom in order to get something else? Well, it was something that I was wondering about for a long time. Because when you look at history, you'll see that people were willing to die for freedom countless times. All the best stories, all the best heroes, it was always a path from a slave to being a free. It's every great story that you have ever read, it was always the same path from slavery to freedom. And the slavery didn't have to be a physical ownership to another man, it was a slavery to fear. The person was afraid of standing up against a government, spouse, religion, teacher, whatever it was. We were afraid. And then when you conquer that fear, then you become the hero of the story. And the truth is, the bigger the opponent, the bigger the hero. As a matter of fact, the size of the hero is defined by the size of the opponent. If you don't have an opponent, you don't have a hero. But when it comes to freedom, I thought, people will be dying for freedom. People will be sacrificing everything for freedom. People will be willing to kill for freedom. Like freedom for me was a really high value for a very long time. And when I realized that as a Jehovah's Witness, I couldn't freely express myself, I couldn't freely think for myself, I couldn't freely question certain things without major consequences, then my life was simply not authentic. And when I realized my life is not authentic, that was, I think, the worst part of my life. So I thought freedom was the answer. It was one of my top answers at the very beginning. I thought everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants to be free to think and do whatever they want. Nothing's better than living a life on your terms. When when you decide what you want to do. And then I look at people and their behavior, and I look at the history, and here's what I notice. People volunteered to go fight war in order to gain freedom. In order for you to go fight the war, you become a soldier. In order for you to become a soldier, you have to follow enormous amount of rules. You literally enslave yourself to your general or whoever is your superior, and that person will own you. He'll tell you where to sleep, what time to wake up, what to do, how to dress, what to say, how to salute, what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. He will own you. And he will tell you what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. You don't question, you just follow the orders. But yet you volunteered. You went and you want to be a soldier, you want to fight for freedom. So you was like, I'm thinking like, what the hell? You give up your freedom in order to get freedom. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, is this expanding to more areas where people, let's say, want to be free from work? And when you study how the industrial area started developing, you'll see that people were working usually minimum 6 days a week, and a lot of people were given 7 days a week. And it was really hard because they work from early morning till late at night, whether they were hunting or gathering or cultivating ground. But then the industrial area came out, and then they said, okay, listen, you can work from, let's say, 9 to 6, and you're going to get paid, and then you get weekends free. You don't have to work on Saturday. You don't have to work on Sunday. And then evenings you have for your family, and you'll earn enough money to pay for whatever it is that you need to pay for. You don't have to grow your own food. You can just go to a store and buy the food. All what you have to do is go to this store, go to this factory and put two pieces of metal together or whatever it is, and then you help to build cars, and then we'll pay you for it, and boom. Totally different mindset, totally different lifestyle. And people loved it. The whole idea, oh, we don't have to work as much as we worked before. We can work in much better conditions, because if it's snowing or raining, we can work in a factory where we have a roof above our head, and when it's cold, we have heaters and stuff like this. So, of course, it was a better quality of life. But at the same time, somebody owns you now. Somebody owns your time from 9 to 6 or whatever it is. And they tell you what time you got to show up. They tell you what you have to do. And they tell you what time you can take lunch and what time you're going to clock in, clock out. And during that time, what uniform you're going to wear and what you can and cannot say to the customers. And they will rule you during that time. So it's like people wanted freedom, but they were willing to give up their freedom for X amount of time in order to get more freedom later. And then I thought about this, and you see how so many people then they get laid off from work, and they can't find themselves. Some people are like, oh, I can't believe I hate my job. I got to go to this work, repetitive, and then they lose their job and they can't find themselves. They can't find a purpose in life. So it's a very interesting concept when it comes to freedom, because a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, they leave and they're thinking, oh, great, I'm going to be free. I can think whatever I want. Nobody's going to question me. But very often they feel like, okay, I'm free, but I'm lost. I'm free, but I don't have a purpose. I'm free, but I don't have any friends. I'm free, but nobody loves me. I'm free, but I have no direction in life. I'm free, but I feel like there's nothing in life worth living for. Before, there was a reason to live. There was a reason to die. There was a reason to keep going. There was a reason to keep working. There was a reason for everything. And the reason was great. It was great for now and for eternity. It was good for you, and it was good for other people, and it was good for Jehovah God, and it was good for the whole universe. You had a purpose so big that you didn't care about all the small things you had to do in order to fulfill it. And then I kept thinking about what people really want. What is like one of their top value? that it's so universal that once you touch on it, people will go for it. People will give up their freedom. People will give up their rights. People will give up their life even for it, or their own families. What is it? Which value is so strong that will push people, pull people towards whatever it is that they want to do? And then I figured out that freedom is actually not the answer. It's a great step, but for majority of people, it's not the answer. The answer is different. There is something that pulls people, and it's something stronger than anything else that I know. Imagine this. Imagine there are people on I don't know, on an island. There's one person on an island. Let's start with that. One person on an island is completely free, right? There is no laws on that island whatsoever. There's no other human that will tell you what you have to do, what you cannot do. Zero. The only things you have to follow, I guess, is the laws of nature and, I don't know, laws of physics. But there's nobody else to tell you what's good, what's bad. You can do whatever you want. You are fully free because there is no other human on that island. Another person shows up. Now you have two people on an island. The moment you have two people on an island, what happens? You set up rules. It's like, okay, this is my place where I sleep. I don't want you to pee over here. Right? Like we set up boundaries of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and what I want you to do and what I don't want you to do. And we might fight for territory, or we might fight for our rights, or we might fight for, okay, we're living here together. Let's set up some rules so one does not bother the other, even though we might be different, right? The more people you have on that island, the more rules you're going to set up. Now, eventually, you get to the point where you're going to have to establish some sort of a government because you can't just wait for everybody else to vote. And then these people will establish what you can and cannot do. And that is more or less how we live today in developed countries. But what is it that people are willing to give up all their freedom, all their lives, all their jobs, family, you name it? And they love an idea so much that even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's illogical, even if they see that it's illogical, they still go for it. It bothered me. And I figured it out. I don't know if it's the right answer. Maybe I'll change that answer in the future. But I found that what's the most pulling people is the idea that they matter. It's the idea that they make a difference. It's the idea that they're part of something greater than themselves. When you implant this in people's minds, they're willing to give up anything for it, even their own life. And sure, freedom sounds great, but believe me, people will give up their freedom on a dime if you just give them a purpose when they truly matter. When you appreciate what they do, when you show them that what they're doing makes an impact and it has enormous amount of benefit for humans, for the society, for God, for whatever it is that they believe in, that I believe is much stronger than any promise of freedom. And Jehovah's Witnesses really, really capitalize on that. They've driven people's minds into that point where no matter what they do, they felt like they matter. You go during the assembly, and after the assembly, he said, "Oh, it's our turn to clean. Go clean the toilets." And Jehovah sees your effort, and you go and you're with a smile on your face. Yeah, they chose me. You go clean the toilets, you go vacuum the carpets, and you feel like it's a privilege. Why? Because you feel like you matter. You feel like you're doing something that somebody up there sees, and then people see you, and then like they appreciate what you're doing. Nobody's paying you for it. Think about it. And we were happy to do it. happy to give up the freedom that we have. No problem. They would say, go to service and you can be a pioneer. Are you gonna get paid more? Is the paradise gonna be better for you? Are you gonna have a better house in the new system if you pioneer? Absolutely not. The price, the reward was the same. Everybody believed that they had the same reward. And yet, people lined up. They fill out an application. Please approve me to become a pioneer so I can go to service and do more hours. And people did it. They still do it till today. Why? Because when you become a pioneer, you have a different identity. And when you have that different identity, you feel like you matter more. You matter more to the congregation. You matter more to Jehovah because you have this identity of who you are. And you will be willing to give up your freedom anytime. And ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they wake up, they leave this. It's shocking. It's traumatizing for sure. It was for me. But there's this moment when you feel like, I don't know if my life matters. Because every decision that I have ever made until now was all with the vision that whatever I was doing, it mattered. It mattered at least to Jehovah, even if nobody else saw it. I went to service and nobody said yes, nobody took any magazines or whatever, but we did it for a witness. And Jehovah saw what we were doing and he appreciated our effort. And the more, the tougher the service was, the harder the task was, the more we felt appreciated. People felt like, oh, if I go to service during rain or it's super cold, Jehovah will appreciate more. People will see the effort that we're doing. Sometimes the harder it was, the more we loved it. It's weird. You didn't get paid more. You mattered more. You felt that you matter more. And now you left and you're like, holy crap, what do I do with my life? Nobody appreciates me. Nobody knows what I'm doing. Nobody cares what I'm doing. Because before, no matter what I did, the smallest thing was appreciated. I went to meeting and I gave a comment and the guys, oh yeah, Jehovah God loves us and he cares about us and he wants us to be in the new system, whatever you said. And everybody's like, oh yeah, great comment, brother, so-and-so. Great comment, sister, so-and-so. The craziest thing ever. But we felt appreciated. We felt like we mattered. We felt like we made a difference. And it didn't matter that it was illogical. It didn't matter that somebody came to us and said, well, what are you talking about? Man, living inside the fish, what the heck are you talking about? It didn't matter it was not logical. What mattered was that people appreciate what I'm doing. And when you left, you felt like nobody appreciates what you're doing. As a matter of fact, people felt like, hey, my peers, they went to school, they developed certain skills and they have experience and they're helping people. I'm so behind. I did nothing. Maybe I served in Bethel and I was just mowing the lawn and picking up leaves and cleaning the toilets. And maybe I don't have any skills right now. I don't think that I can matter. I don't think I can make a difference. And it is really crushing. This is why so many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses become so depressed, even though they're free. That's why so many of them kill themselves, because they feel they don't matter. If you ever come across an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you're wondering, how am I going to help them? Because you see they're in distress. You see the loss that they're experiencing. You see that they have lost so many loved ones. They see no purpose in life. They see nothing. I tell you, if you show them that they matter, if you show them that it took an enormous amount of courage to leave this, if you show them that they have an enormous amount of strength to stand up against that organization and say, no more, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to lead my own life. You show them that that matters. You show them that their presence matters. You show them that what they did, okay, it really helped other people to open up their eyes, because they're saying, oh, if that person was able to do this, maybe I can do as well. I tell you, everything switches like this. Because people, they feel free, they feel great for a moment. It's like when you, I don't know, win the lottery or you get a bonus at work and you get this extra money and you feel great for a moment. How long does it last? A day, a week, or two, a month? And what's after? I'm like, oh, great. It is so important to find a purpose, something that drives you, because you don't want something that always pushes you away. And it's people are stuck on this. They're looking back and they're like, I don't want this, I don't want this, and I don't want this. You ask people what they don't want in life, and they'll tell you huge list. I don't want this, I don't want that. They'll tell you all the problems. No question about it. But you ask them, what is that you want in your life? What is your life about? What's the purpose of your life? What's your vision for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And they're like, they have no idea because never thought about it. Because the idea that they had before was given to them. They were looking into what the Jehovah's Witnesses told them. They told them, this is who you are. This is your identity. You are a witness of Jehovah. You're going into the new system, and this is the path to get there. You knew exactly where you came from. You knew exactly where you are. You knew exactly where you're going. So every decision that you have made was always aligned with that purpose. And you felt that you matter because whatever you did contributed. Right? And now, who are you representing? Yourself. You're representing yourself. When you went to school, you were representing Jehovah, you were representing the organization, so you knew exactly how to make decisions. They're playing a national anthem, you don't stand up. They're drawing a Christmas tree, you don't draw this because that's not who you are. You were aligning with the purpose. But now you represent yourself. You got to figure it out. What is the purpose of your life? What are your values? How are you going to direct your life? You're going to have to decide what is right, what is wrong. But people feel like, what's the point? What's the point if I'm going to live here for 5, 10, 20, 40 years and then I'm going to die? Before, at least I had the prospect of everlasting life. I tell you, you had a delusion. You didn't have a prospect of living forever. You had a delusion. And because you had the delusion, everything was worth giving up for that dream. Because if the delusion of living forever in paradise on earth was real, then giving up few years of your life right now would have been worth it. But the moment you realize that that was all just a dream, fantasy, then you got to figure it out. You know what? The life that you're living right now is it. That's it. The best thing you've got. It is the best thing you can get. There is no extra points. There is no, you might believe in a life after this life. Great. And if there is something, we can't prove it, but if there is something, then live the best life after the best you can. But right now, as far as we know, this is the best planet to live on. This is the best time to live on. We have better life today than most kings and pharaohs had for thousands of years in the past. Think about it. All the things that we get to do. It's extraordinary. When would you like to live in the past? Pick and choose. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. When was the good times? Think about it. When would you rather go to a hospital, today or 100 years ago? To a dentist, today, 500 years ago? When would you like to deliver a baby, today or 1,000 years ago? When was it really that much better? You go back in time, you'll realize that 30% of people were slaves. Chances are you would have been one. You don't have to go far in the history. What if you're black and you're living in America, 60, 70 years ago? You think your life would have been better? For women, when did women have more rights than they have today? We live in an extraordinary amount of time. And we have the time now. And it would be such a waste not to appreciate the extraordinary times that we're living in. The things that we have, the way we drive the cars and the roads that we have and the way we communicate, even how you're watching me right now. Imagine, most of you are watching me for free. You don't even have to pay for it. You can communicate with anybody around the world at any time visibly. You can see them, you can hear them instantly. I mean, if I would show all this technology to, I don't know, a King Solomon, right? How much gold would he give me for this stuff? The stuff that we have today, the things that we get to play with, Poof, we don't appreciate it because we have it. But if you just spend a little bit of time in a third world country where people have to walk for an hour just to get the dirty water to drink and live in the shack, and we're talking about billions that still live like that, not one or two, then maybe you'll come home and you're gonna kiss your shower and appreciate the fact that you can change the temperature on the wall with a little thermostat and press a button. And somebody spent $400 million in 5 years of creating a movie just so you can watch and be entertained for 2 hours. This is the life that we have today. Sometimes we forget it because most of us have it. But what about you when it comes to figuring out what drives you? Because I tell you, it's easy to say, oh, I'm free, but I'm lost, because everybody has those things. It's just basic standard of living right now. But I don't feel like I matter. Let's go back to that subject. Because you feel like, okay, I'm doing things, but there is always somebody who does it better, especially now with this stupid piece of technology that we love so much and we're addicted to it. We're always going to find somebody who's better than us. Not a question. Whatever you're doing, you're going to find somebody who's better than you. They're faster, they're better looking, they speak better, they're more talented. You're going to find people who are better than you. No question about it. And they're posting this stuff here. You're watching this and like, oh, I'm not as good as they are. And guess what? If you see that people are better than you, are you going to feel good about yourself? Not a chance. Not a chance. That's where our self-esteem comes from. When we actually inside our head, we're not supposed to, but we do anyways. We compare ourselves to others and we say, oh, I'm worse than they are. And you feel good about yourself. If you feel like, oh, they're worse than me, then you feel good about yourself. If you feel bad about yourself, it's because you compared yourself to somebody else who's better. That's usually how it goes. You need to compare yourself to something in order to know how you perform. If you play, I don't know, basketball, for example, and you see how other players are playing and you score the least, are you going to feel good about yourself? No, because you have a frame of reference. You see how everybody else is playing, and you see how much they're scoring, and you're like the slowest runner, and you score the least. You're not going to feel good about yourself. If you score average, then you're going to be content because you're part of the team. If you score better than everybody else, then you're going to feel good about yourself because you built something better than the average. But if you have nothing to compare it with, then a lot of times you're lost. See, when you were a Jehovah's Witness, the field was prepared for you. We played this game and we knew exactly, okay, if you are a pioneer, this is how much you score every month. Whether it was 60 hours, 50 hours, 90 hours, 15 hours, whatever it is right now. I don't even know. But we knew the rules. The game was set up and we knew the rules. And because we knew the rules, guess what? It was easy to play. If you don't know the rules, you're lost. When you left Jehovah's Witnesses, all of a sudden you ain't playing the game no more. And if you're not playing the game, you don't know how to evaluate yourself. You don't know how to feel good about yourself because you're not playing with other players. There's no game. Every month, you were filling out a little report and you said, oh yeah, I did 9 hours. What's the congregation average? 10. Ooh, I'm below. Next month, I got 13, 14 hours. I feel good about myself, right? Because there was frame of reference. You could compare yourself to others and okay, I go to the meetings, I give comment, 1 comment, 3, 4 comments. You know how to feel about yourself because you had peers to compare yourself to. Now you left and you're like, how do you know if I'm doing a good job? There's no body of elders to come and say, hey, great job. Awesome. Jehovah sees you. Jehovah appreciates you. I see your effort. It's wonderful to watch. You're a great example. You ain't getting that no more. You have to earn it now. And you don't know how. Because when you leave, you start doing things and people try to do this, try to do what I'm doing, try to put a video on Facebook or YouTube and read the comments. And believe me, some are very memorable. from people that would never show their face on the camera. They would never build any YouTube channel or anything like this, but they have very strong opinions about you and what they don't like about you. And he ain't so good as he was at the Kingdom Hall. And you might feel crushed because people's opinions about you really mattered. But now I tell you one thing. You leave this organization, and what you got to put first, more than anything else, is your opinion about yourself. If you don't have a strong opinion about yourself of who you are, you don't know who you are because you constantly looked for other people, for those people's affirmations in order for you to form your self-esteem and your self-image, then if you don't have that external source, then who are you? Then you're looking for others who will tell you. And guess what? The people on social media, they don't know you. And a lot of times they get triggered because maybe you said something or you sound like somebody else that they know, and they'll judge you very harshly. So, how do you now build a self esteem? You have to figure it out. What is your opinion about you? That's like first. What is your opinion about you? Because if you don't know who you are, then you will always be affected by other people's opinions about you. And they might not be pretty, they might be quite critical. So that's first thing that I encourage everybody to do is work on yourself. Find a way to build your self-esteem. And the way you build your self-esteem is first, you got to find your vision. And now it's up to you. You got to choose your vision because even though you're free, but the freedom will not fulfill you. You will not be happy just because you're free. You feel free because you're free, but you won't feel happy because you're free. You're only going to feel happy if you find a vision, you find a purpose in life, you find something that pulls you to do something. And when you find whatever it is, and you will see that what you do makes a difference, makes an impact, improves the quality of life for yourself and others, then and only then you're going to say, hey, you know what? I know why I'm living. I know why I'm doing this. I know that this is what I want to do. It's extraordinary. And I encourage every single one of you to find that purpose. Until you find what is it that you want to do, majority of people will just live somebody else's vision. It's okay to live somebody else's vision if you agree with it. If two people can have the same vision, absolutely. You can have a million people having the same vision, going for the same purpose, as long as this is something that you want, not something that you're giving in because it's easier, because you're afraid of other people's opinions. So that's what I encourage everybody to do. Find your vision. I think if I could summarize a purpose in life in one sentence, I would say the purpose of our life is to improve the quality of life for ourselves and others. And we now have this ability, this choice to choose how we're going to do it. Are you going to be, I don't know, motivational speaker? Are you going to be a cleaner? Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be an architect? Are you going to be a songwriter? It's up to you. Whatever it is that you're doing will have an impact on others. And when you see that impact, when you see that, you failed a million times and a million and one, you succeeded, and he helped you and he helped somebody else. And now somebody else's life is better because of your hard work and your experience, then it matters. Then you're going to start seeing that you matter. And there's one thing I want to leave you with. Never think that your experience of being a Jehovah's Witness was a waste of life. No, 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 no. Never. Why? Because every day, even right now as I'm speaking, there's somebody that woke up right now and they're like, oh, holy crap. And they live in fear and they're scared because they know the consequences. They don't know if there are people that will help them. They don't know if there is any group that will support them. They don't know what the future holds. They're scared. And guess what? They're going to lose a lot. They're going to lose their friends, their brother, their mother, their father, maybe their spouse. I don't know. But the moment they'll find you, and you already went through that path, you'll be able to tell them, I understand. I know what you're going through because I walked that path before. And don't worry, it's just a phase, it's just a season in your life. You will get better. You will get 100 times better. And with your life, with your experience, you'll be able to show them. And then you'll see that everything you went through, including the pain, when you use it to help somebody else who's desperate, then you'll know that you was needed. And you was know that because of that pain that you went through, now you can have a more meaningful life because now you will matter. You will matter to those who need you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.